What have you found gets in the way the most from people taking bold action?
The pattern that I recognize in most people is they're worried about judgment from other people, but that's absolutely not what they're worried about. We feel like we're worried about being judged by others, and that might happen, but that's not the worst part. The worst part is that there's a future version of you that's going to judge you.
Life's too short for bad coffee or bad leadership. I'm Lindsay Yellin, executive leadership coach, coffee enthusiast, and former ad VP turned believer in leading from a place of possibility. On Unfiltered Leadership, we skip the buzzwords and dig into the messy, human, and powerful side of leadership with real conversations and practical takeaways. Now grab your mug. Let's dive in. Hey, Matt, welcome to Unfiltered Leadership. I am so excited and honored that you have joined us today.
I'm so happy to be here. I always love chatting with you.
And where are you right now? What's in your world right now?
Yeah, I'm in Newport, Rhode Island. Came here in the new year and committed to 3 months because my brother just had a baby two weeks ago. 2 weeks to the day. He's 2 weeks old. First time baby in the family, so first time uncle. And it's been awesome to be able to be here and just experience. It's so crazy how you're like, this thing is nothing. It sleeps and poops and eats and that's it. And it's like, I love it more than anything in the world. It's crazy how that works.
Yeah, you're talking to the right person. We were both in
Yeah.
like the world of baby.
Yeah.
My daughter just turned 11 weeks on Sunday.
Amazing.
And like it is kind of crazy. Like especially now because she's like starting to giggle. We have like these little
Mhm.
conversations that are not conversations, but like we're talking to each other in
Yeah.
some language. And she's starting to, feel like there's a little more attachment. And like I'm starting to really learn her. Before I
Mm.
was like, I'm keeping you alive and like you are my baby and we're figuring this out. And now it's like, oh, we're a team. And like you are
Cool.
mine and I'm yours and you are so cute. And I do love you insanely much. I knew people told me that was possible. But yeah, you don't really know until like it's right in front of you.
Yeah. And then you'll fall more in love, right? As you see those giggles, you're like, oh my God. Like, I didn't realize I hadn't done this, but last night I was over and I held him like up on my chest. I kind of just was cradling him all the time. And then I
Yeah.
just laid him on my chest. We were watching a movie, and just to have his like breath on my chest and like, and he's making little noises,
It's the
and I'm like,
cutest thing.
ah.
Well, what a lucky little dude to have you as his uncle.
Thank you.
And I gotta ask, what's in your mug today? What did you bring for our conversation?
Special afternoon coffee just for you. It is just a coffee with cream, no sugar. It's what I drink when I go to coffee shops. I do not do anything else. It's
Nothing
either cold
espresso. You
brew.
just like you just like coffee with cream.
Give me drip coffee. When I was in Europe for 2 months, it was miserable because
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
a thing. And I'm like, I just want my drip coffee. Even Starbucks didn't have it.
Yeah, you need like the long, they're like, oh, you want a long black? And it's like the
Yeah.
espresso. An
Oh,
Americano is not the same as a black coffee. And it's not
no.
nearly as good, I think.
Agreed.
I'm not. So what color is your coffee with cream? Like how is like cream with coffee or coffee with a little
Ooh,
cream?
man, I wish I knew my browns. It is, yeah, it's like, it's a little more than a splash.
Like
It's
a nice
like
caramel?
a nice caramel. Yeah, yeah, sure. I'll go with
Okay,
that.
and what about your mug today? Is there any special story behind that guy?
Sadly, no, and I knew you were gonna ask. I picked the Rooster mug. I'm in an Airbnb, so it's what they have, and it's either white mugs or these like kitschy. I don't really like it. It's not super fun, but I chose the Rooster because whatever.
It feels so on you, but
I know,
also
sad.
cute. Um, I have to do a shout out to like a local artist for my mug today, and for those who are listening, not seeing, watching, this is it's like a handleless like big mug that has like three different. It's like really pretty. It's like rust green,
Really cool.
green
Yeah,
with this cool white red stripe down which I realize kind of matches my hat, which is cool.
I was
But
just thinking the same thing.
yeah, I think it's called Ram and Stone. It's a local ceramics artist who also works at a shop in our downtown, and she started to sell these at her shop, and they flew off the shelves. And now she has this
Mm,
growing pottery business, and her work is
awesome.
gorgeous. And it just kind of reminded me of you for some reason, so that's why I picked it. I always pick a mug that
I
like
like it.
somehow,
I never use the handle. I always just grab it. So
yeah,
I like the
right.
handle mug. But can I call you out though? Because I sent you a mug.
Holy moly, you did! I have that.
I thought you'd be using that one.
Why did I not? Because you know why? Because it's on display in my office. So I have
Well,
mugs that are display mugs and mugs that
mhm.
are drinking mugs. And that one I have in my office on my bookshelf, so I always have it in my background where I see you, and I didn't even
That's
think to
actually
bring
pretty
it out
great.
to use it.
That's actually
You know
great.
what? Can you tell this is my first episode back since
Yeah,
having
yeah,
a
yeah.
baby, and I'm
Yeah,
a little slow, but
you
I
get the
love it.
point.
It's a green, like, awesome face one with a lot of character, and it's really cute, so I have it. I love it so much, it's display, not drink.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
So Matt, I want to start by sharing with folks that I first met you through like entrepreneurship communities, right? Through Diana Davis, shout out. But I reached out and then proceeded to work with you. I hired you to help me uncover my and own my story. Is kind of how I remember it. I was like, I am speaking in front of rooms and workshops. I'm trying to be more present online. I'm trying to build relationships with clients and corporate partners. And I feel like I don't really know how to really own my story or talk about really what I do and who I am in a way that feels empowering and compelling. And I felt like every time I was in front of a room or in front of somebody, I was telling a different version of this story that was all over the place. And so I went to you looking for help, and you completely revolutionized and like the way I think about story. And I have never like I still use it to this day all the time. And you just basically changed my relationship to not just how to tell stories, but how to think and connect to your own story, to my own story. So I'm kind of curious, how did you get to that place? Or how did you come to like uncover the power of storytelling? And I guess what's your story that got you
Yeah, it's kind of the same question. So,
there?
and this is part of what I love. This is like a very meta way that I'll explain this because it's why I teach stories, but it's also it's like I'm going to tell you how I realized I was a storyteller while also realizing that storytelling is the thing. So, well, it'll be like a little bit circular, but yeah, when I was in high school, I was really good at. I mean, through all my childhood, I was really good at math. I always got A's in math. It came really easy to me. And it was fine. It was like I wasn't excited about it. It was just like thought it was easy. Um, and English was my worst subject. So bad at English. I had to work so hard. And I never wanted to read the books and all of this stuff. And in high school, there were two English classes that I actually got A's in, and they were both creative writing. One, I got a chance to write my college essay in, and the other one was just creative writing. And we did this like March Madness storytelling bracket where we submitted our stories anonymously. And the class would read them and vote on them. And then so whoever got the most votes would advance in the bracket till we got to the head to head. And it leaked whose story was whose. So the hot popular guy got the most votes from the girl, and I lost, like from the girls, and I lost. And my teacher came up to me afterwards, and he's like, Matt, your story is like 100 times better. Just so you know, you're getting an A. Like you're good. I was like, all right, sick. And so on we go. I go to college, and I actually started college as a business major, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I hated it. I called my mom one day. I'm like, what do I do? Like, it's just so boring. Every class is the same. Marketing, management, it all feels the same. She's like, well, you've always been good at math. Manhattan College is a good engineering school. Why don't you study engineering? And I was like, all right. So I switched majors, became a civil engineer, yada, yada, yada. Go through college as a civil engineer. I have this quarter life crisis. It's 2016. It's 2015. I'm 25 years old. I feel like at this point in my life, I have made it. I was a good boy who got good grades, went to a good school. I live in
Mm,
the greatest city in the world. I have a great job. I make good money. My project is the World Trade Center, the Freedom
wow.
Tower. It's like, all right, I'm here, 25 years old. And I walk in my boss's office one day to hand him some paperwork. And I look out the window at the World Trade Center. And I'm like, who cares? It's an office building. And I'm like, oh God. And I walk back to my desk, 6 foot high cubicle walls, fluorescent lighting. I'm in the middle of the building, right? There's no natural light getting in. Flop down on my chair. And I'm like, oh God. So I did it. And now this is it. 40 years, 40 hours a week. For the rest of my life, I will climb the ladder doing something I don't really care about. And I'm gonna have grandkids one day and they're gonna be like, Grandpa, tell us stories of your life. And I'm gonna be like, I don't have any because I didn't pursue a life that I loved, and I just did this job because that's what you're supposed to do. You make money, and I don't know. And then maybe when I retire, like, and it was like, oh, maybe the next milestone is retirement, and then what? I could do what I want. I'm having this core life crisis in this chair, and it just came to me. I was riding the city bike to work to save money, and I was hoping that I could save money on taking the subway. The subway was $135 a month.
Mm,
Riding the bike was $135 for the year.
oh,
So,
wow.
like, I could save that money, invest it, hopefully retire before 65, and then maybe do what I want. And I'm sitting in that chair and I'm like, You know, the best part of my day is riding my bike to work. 3 miles from the East Village to the financial district. I go the loopy way all the way around the east side, and it's the morning where the Chinese people are doing their qigong, and I'm just like observing the world. And I got my music in or an audiobook. And I'm just feel like a kid again. Man, I love riding my bike. So I sat there and I was like, maybe that's what I should do. Or the thought was I need to do something remarkable with my life before I'm married, have kids, a grandkid, and life just gets away from me. It's like maybe the remarkable thing I could do is ride my bike across America. And so I did. And so a year later, about 8 months after that, we're coming up on the 10-year mark, by the way. In
Wow.
June 2016, I rode my bike across America. 90 days, 5,000 miles. It was the best summer of my life. And the reason
Wow.
why I'm telling this story, we can talk about that for days. I love talking about that trip. But the reason why I'm telling that is because I also wrote a blog every single day. I wanted to document the journey for myself to remember it. And when I look back on that blog, and reread it some days, even though I was averaging 65 miles a day in sometimes 100-degree heat with 90% humidity, I would still write something beautiful.
Mm.
They were kind of just daily accounts, but they were stories. They were like, and there's some, not everything is great, but there's some paragraphs in there that are like beautiful, kind of poetic. I'm like, wow, that's nice. And then fast forward 3 years, that's 2016, 2019. I quit engineering, moved to Colorado to become a personal trainer and pursue my dream as a personal trainer. And obviously, I don't do that anymore. But that was the start of my entrepreneurial career and the start of my content creation journey. And when I look back at my Instagram posts, long before Reels were a thing, not long before, just before Reels were a thing, it was just, a photo and a caption. And you read those captions and they're all stories.
Yeah.
And then we get to 2024, a few years ago. And I'm like this marketing coach. I'm like, I don't know, like there's something more to this. And there was this moment in like September of 2024 where all of a sudden I just started getting reflected back. Like, Matt, you're a great storyteller. Matt, you're a great storyteller. And storytelling as a marketer was part of something that I offered. And that was, I think, maybe you even worked with me right before this time, or I don't know if I was
Okay.
owning the storytelling guy yet. I don't remember
Yeah.
when. But it was like, but yeah, like you would have been a reflection of that if it was before. It'd been like, oh, this person hired me for storytelling. Oh, every time I do a master class on storytelling, like more people sign up for that thing. And then I'm in a therapy group call, and the leader is like, dude, you're like a storyteller. You're like a master storyteller. I'm like, what is happening this week? And I realized that, yeah, that's true. And then even though I just told you that story, I didn't know it at the time, but that moment hit where I was getting all this reflection into 2024. And then I sat down and I was like, oh my God. And I started seeing all these things, the English classes from high school, the blog that I would write, my first
Yes.
post on Instagram. They were all beautiful stories. And I realized like, whoa, this is my thing. And what I've realized even more is that one, you can see how meta this is. Your story holds the breadcrumbs of your most authentic, true, fun life. It's
Mm.
all there. And oftentimes it's so obvious and like easy for you that
Yeah.
we overlook it. It's right under your nose. No,
Yep.
that's too easy. That can't be the thing, right? Because like life has to be so hard and we have to figure it out. It's like, no, the thing that comes so easy for you. This is what I love helping my clients with is like, what's the easy thing? And when we figure that out, then it's like, great. Now here's where it gets fun. You get to figure out how to help people with that. Why is it so easy for you? Because people ask me like, Matt, what storytelling books have you read? Now I've read a few, but a few years ago, I didn't read any. I'm like, I don't know. I don't read storytelling books. Like I just tell stories. And so the fun part for me is now going, oh, this thing that comes really easy for me, this is my gift to the world. Why? Why is it so easy for me to tell stories? Why is it easy for me to be vulnerable? That even goes into why is it easy for me to take bold action? I rode my bike across America, quit engineering, and moved to Colorado to be a personal trainer. I've run 40-mile ultra marathons. Like I've started podcast, like I've done all these things, and it's like a lot of people struggle to take bold actions. Like, well, that's been easy for me, and that's where the stories come from, is from
Yep.
the bold action. So it's kind of this mix of helping people figure out what they truly want, helping them take bold action, and then from there, you have stories to tell forever.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing that. I even had heard things of that story that I had never heard before, even knowing you for a while now. And what struck me in what you said is a couple of things. The first is like the parallels between our stories that are very different, but also very similar. And like, I think there's something to be reflected on there, like for people who are considering, who are feeling like you and I both did, like, oh, wow. Like, I'm very good at this thing. I'm in this thing. But is this the thing? Is this it? Is this all that there is for me? Because
Yeah.
as you were saying that, I felt that
Wild one.
deep down. I want more. Yes. Like, I feel like I felt for me, like, I feel like I'm capable for more. Like, I'm doing good work here, but I'm not I just had this feeling deep down that I was not reaching my potential. And I just felt this disappointment of like, am I going to go through life not really knowing what I'm truly meant to do?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people out there who feel that way, especially now as a lot of corporate jobs have left people realizing they're not nearly as valued as I thought they were. They make them realize like I'm putting so much energy and time and myself into something that's giving me very little back. Like there's just like
Mhm.
I think like a great reckoning in the last few years around that. Uh, I think what you offer as well is something like that people so rarely take the time to recognize, which is like it all the answers are right in front of you if you can take the time and the awareness to find them and to see them.
Yeah, and you know what? To that same thread, we everybody knows exactly what they want, but sometimes we are it I never know the right way to say this, but we are so good at hiding it from ourselves. Because if we actually see it and then say it and own it, and then we actually have to do something about it, and that
Yes.
can be frightening if you're in a safe corporate job and you have a family and you have to, take care of your family, and if you actually say, "You know what? I'd love to be a baseball coach." What, at high school? Like, that's not as much money as your corporate job probably, but, like, and so, fuck, if I say that, then what does that mean? Do I have to start owning that? Is that embarrassing that I want that? That's not the corporate dream everybody talks about. Like, that's just some it's like, and then, we shame ourselves for all these things. And I don't even know where that idea came from, baseball coach, but it's like, there's really a truth that we all know what we want. And that's part of my story. Although, like, you know, I would never give myself the space to know what I wanted. I just kept going, going, going. That was
Yeah.
the moment in the office where I was like, okay, well, I made it. Now the only thing left to do is just climb the corporate ladder. Fuck, I don't want this. And I looked out that window, I was like, "I wanna help people." I knew I wanted to help people. And that's where I was, like, looking at the Freedom Tower, and I was like, "It's just an office building. What, for
Right.
more people to end up like me in a job they don't like? Like, this sucks." Like, I really wanna help people. I didn't know what that was, and I rode my bike across America, whatever. And then that's when I found personal training again, because I always loved fitness my whole life. So, it's like, "Oh, an opportunity to help people." And then I quit to become a personal trainer. That wasn't really it for me. Also, I didn't realize I had to be an entrepreneur. Thought I could just be the best personal trainer in the world and everybody would find me and I'd make a bunch of money. But like, you actually have to be an entrepreneur and do the sales and marketing, all that stuff. And knowing what I know now, I maybe would have still loved personal training because I'm a much better coach now. But then I like leaned into photography. And when I leaned into photography, right before the pandemic, it's 2019, and I made a declaration. Sorry, in 2019, made a declaration. I'm going to become the Colorado CrossFit photographer. Like, that's what I want. That's what I'm going to do. And I did it, and people were knowing me. If you had a CrossFit event, if you had a CrossFit gym, there's a lot of them, you would go reach out to Matt Allyn. 2020 came, I got a spot on the CrossFit media team for this huge competition in Miami. It was completely on me. I had to pay my way there, pay for the flight, pay for the Airbnb. I didn't get paid to be there, but it was a huge opportunity. I'm on the competition floor taking these photos. Um, since I didn't sign an agreement and I wasn't getting paid, I started posting those photos on Instagram and they were getting thousands of likes. And I was like, oh, it's happening. People are going to know me as this CrossFit photographer. And then the media director came up to me and he's like, hey, it's okay. You didn't know, you didn't sign anything. You've been out shooting photos, like, but you're not allowed to post anything. Like, those aren't yours. They belong to the competition company and whatever. Like, you can post them in 2 months, but you can't post them now. You have to delete them. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, this one photo specifically had like 5,000 likes, and I'm like, my thumb's hovering over it. I'm like, do I delete it? I didn't sign anything. Like, should I just run? I'm like, no, I don't want to blow my opportunities and ruin this relationship. So I deleted it, of course. But in that conversation, the media director, he's also the guy who goes through everybody's photos. So there's like 20 photographers or whatever, and they have card runners. They take your memory card and they bring it to him, and he sifts through all your photos and selects the best ones. So he knows I'm looking at Matt's memory card. These are Matt's photos. So he knows who's saying what photos. And in that conversation, he looked at me, he's like, I just want you to know you are taking the best photos out of anyone here. Like, incredible. I can see what you're doing, what you're trying to capture. And like, you're not just snap, 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 snap. Like, I see you just like click, trying to get it. If you miss it, you take another one. Like, I don't have to sift through 20 photos. It's either like 2 photos or you got it. And like, you move on. Anyway, so I get back on the competition forum. I'm like, oh my, like this, it's all happening. Like, even though I had to delete those photos, all these things are happening for me. And on the last day of that competition, in between heats of of this like final competition, I'm shooting the big event, and they're switching out, getting the next, like, the women. Now the men are coming on. I'm dancing to Diplo. I'm in my zone. I'm in my space. I'm like, man, like, this is so fun. And then I just kind of pause. I look at the crowd. And I'm like, wow, I don't care about this at all. Like my photos, maybe my photos inspire people. I don't know, but they don't know I'm taking, and like, I want to work with people directly. And I was like, oh, but luckily COVID happened and personal training and photography events got all shut down, completely shut down. So I'm like, great. What an opportunity to start over. What do I really want to build? I'm going to build my online business now. Didn't have an online business. I'm going to do this. What am I going to do? And I sat there and I was like, well, what have I done? So, well, I've taken bold action in my life. Ridden my bike across America. I've quit to become a personal trainer. I just flew myself to the Wadapalooza CrossFit event. Like I take bold action. Like I go after what I want in life. That's what I want to help people do. It's kind of like a life coach. And then I was sitting there. We were talking about this before we recorded. I was sitting there. I had just moved out from my ex-wife's or from our place. I moved out into my own place. I'm sitting on the floor with the dog that we shared, knowing that I was going to give her the dog. Got no business prospects. I'm like, I got to build an online thing. And I'm like, okay, I want to be this life coach. And I have my puppy in my lap. And I'm like, his name is Lambo, after Lambeau Field, where the Packers play. I'm like, Lambo, what should I do? And I'm like, I can't be a life coach. Who am I? Who am I to be a life coach? But I'm a photographer. I was a videographer. I post consistently on social media. Let me help people do that. That'd be a way people could build their brand, and then I'll give them more opportunities in life. And so, pandemic, I became marketing guy. Unfortunately, it's not what I really wanted. And it wasn't until about 2004, the story I told earlier, where I was like, this actually isn't it. Like, I always wanted to be that life coach, and like that was the truth. But I buried that. I was like, who am I to do that? And so I buried that. And it was only till, roughly a year, maybe a little more than a year, where it's like creating content, sharing your message, telling your story, that's part of it. But what I really want to help people do is to take the bold action. And the bold action, whatever they truly want, again, the breadcrumbs are in your story. It's there. And I want to help you go take the action. And then you can tell the stories. And those stories are the ones that change the world because
Yeah.
you embody this higher version of yourself, and that inspires other people. So we know what we want. If we are honest with yourself, if you're willing to look at it, you know exactly what you want. And then we convince ourselves out of it. It's
Yes.
stupid. Not what everybody else. I'm going to look like an idiot. Like I can't do that. Whatever it is.
We should
Yes,
on ourselves. I should want this. I've
yeah,
worked so hard. I should
should,
want,
yep. All of that.
Yeah.
All of that is just BS. And, and then that's where the work comes in of like, this is what I truly want. I see it. And you'll probably mess up. There's no arrival. Like it's a guess. And so you just take the next steps and go for it and try to make it fun along the way.
And and I want to talk about that concept of fun because you keep bringing it up. And I know it's a big focus of your work right now and how you're trying to help people or like unlock with people. But I first am curious, based on like all your experience and everyone you've worked with, what have you found gets in the way the most from people taking bold action?
The most, I think a pattern that I recognize in most people is they're worried about judgment from other people, but that's actually not what they're worried about. We feel like we're worried about being judged by others, and that might happen, but that's not the worst part. The worst part is that there's a future version of you that's going to judge you. And that person is that they're there right now. Like we're in it right now. And we're also the present version, and we're the present version shaming this past version of ourselves. You didn't do it right. I knew you weren't going to do it right. You screwed that up. That sales call went poorly, whatever, all these things. And so the current version of you now is shaming this past version, which is setting up the current version of you to think that there's going to now be a future version of you waiting for you to shame you.
Uh,
And that's the worst part.
yeah.
And so, oh, I'm going to go make content. And then 6 months go by and it's like, you didn't do it and you never went viral and no one liked it and no one cares. See, I knew you couldn't do this. You suck at this. And that's where we go back to this self-love, like what everyone talks about, this self-love. It's like, if the present version of you right now can learn to love all these past versions of yourselves for their mistakes, for all their shadows, for the way they didn't show up as empowered as you wish they did, if we could just unconditionally love all of those parts of ourselves, we actually start to heal those parts that show up that way. And we're teaching ourselves that there's this future version of me who's going to love me no matter what,
Yeah.
even if I mess that shit up. That, of course I did. I've never done this before. Like, I love you for trying. And that frees us up to take bolder action because what I've found is we just do things because we want love. And we can't force people to love us, but we can love ourselves. And so it's really about offering that unconditional love to yourself. And it's difficult and it's a lifelong practice. And there's going to be
Yeah.
levels of it, you know? But that's what I found the biggest thing is like we think it's judgment of other people, but it's actually judging ourselves, which kind of integrates with other people. Like, oh yeah,
Sure.
they're right. they're right, and then I start shaming myself. So it's learning how to release a lot of that. And again, lifelong practice.
Yeah, it's like first of all, I've never heard it explained like that before. And that is so incredibly true. I think we also project our judgment and fear of disappointing ourselves onto others. And it's easier to look at them and say, oh, they're going to think, they're going to like look and see that I failed. They're going to think less of me. Whatever it might be, they're going to be disappointed in me. But in reality, it's just it's the fact that you have to be okay looking in the mirror. And what you said about self-compassion is so incredibly true. And that has been, I feel like we've talked about this, but that's one of the journeys I've been on. And one of like the big kind of reckonings I had after I left corporate, because I was like, oh, leaving this corporate job is going to fix all of my problems. I'm no longer going to be stressed, or I'm no longer
Mhm.
going to be miserable and feeling sick, and I can pursue something that's fulfilling and impact people, and, thought I'd have all the answers. And then it was like a year plus after I'd even moved. I'm now living in California. I'm living in this beautiful nature, looking at the ocean every single day. Like I'm like living this incredible life, and freed myself from all those burdens. And I still felt so many of the same thing. I still felt stressed. I still felt overwhelmed. I still felt disappointed in myself. Like I still had so much of that like judgment and fear. And it was like, well, yeah, sure. Maybe that environment I knew wasn't right for me, but there's something deeper here that I can't run from, that I have to figure out what's going on. And one of the things that struck me was like, why is it no matter what, even though I've taken bold action, even though I'm living a life I'm proud of, I'm still so relentlessly hard on myself.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what if I lived a life where I was kind to myself? What if for once I tried actually being an advocate and a friend and a companion to myself versus being a judge, a critic, all of that. And that's when I started my path of mindful self-compassion and seeing the benefit of it. And what I have found is what it creates is capacity, because it creates a space for you to work through hard moments versus feel so overwhelmed by them, as well as I'm able to offer myself when I'm constantly waiting for somebody else to give me, which is something similar that you said.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, you know, part of what I think the second part of this is that there's an assumption that somewhere in the future I will arrive and there will be no more
Hmm.
problems. And then when there are no more problems, oh, then I can what? Like experience more
Yeah.
love, be myself, have more fun, play
Yeah.
more. That is the biggest myth of them all. There is no arrival. Even people who are enlightened, I don't think are enlightened, because if they truly were, then they wouldn't need the human experience anymore. Their soul could go off and have a new experience. So if anyone's enlightened, they're dead. I
Hmm.
don't think they would be here. Great, congratulations, you did it. Now your soul can go and do something else, come into a new body and experience life. If you believe in that stuff, that's what I believe in. But we envision that there's some I'm gonna be in California and have my own business and do this soulful work, and then there will be no problems. That is never going to be true. And that comes back to the present moment, where it's like, how do we truly just be here now? And I think it's through love. I think it's also through fun. I think there's a lot of correlation to those things. And when you can remove the idea that that somewhere you're gonna get more access to love, and to realize that love is now, like, that's what you get to practice. It's not when you make more money, then I will blank, blank, blank,
Yeah.
right? It's like the gold medal syndrome. These people, when I have the gold medal, they'll feel accomplished and all that stuff, and then they don't. Why? Because they just spent their whole lives being really hard on themselves, pushing themselves to the extreme, which is great. It can make you an Olympic athlete, but to what cost? You get to the end of the road, you get your gold medal, and then you've created an environment in which you hate yourself. And
I
so
guess.
the gold medal, the money, it won't fix those problems, because my therapist said the energy required to build something is the energy required to maintain it. So if you build with love, hate, fear, anxiety,
Mm.
then you need to maintain it with love, fear, hate, and anxiety.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yep. And I just, as you were talking, I had like something sparked for me around the connection of love and fun. Like you kind of mentioned that. What occurred for me, and I want you to tell me what you see, is I think so often people think self-love and being kind to themselves and is weak, that it's actually not going to allow them to be as determined, as hardworking. Like they think they need to be hard on themselves in order to be successful. And that if they go soft on themselves, then they're going to not be able to achieve anything and it's not going to work. I hear that all the time. Oh, that critic in my mind, it helps me. It's like, it helps you like maybe there's like 5% is actually really harming you. And let's explore that. And I think it's something similar with fun. And I think I mentioned this to you when we were kind of prepping for this, that I think especially in this day and age when there's so much seriousness going on and also people are so focused on like doing and executing and achieving, that often fun is seen as frivolous and might take away from the important thing or get in the way of the important thing and maybe make them less successful if they're having fun versus working hard and they see them as not complementary but opposite. And so I kind of see this parallel here of if I'm kind to myself, I'm not going to be as successful, I'm weak. If I have fun, I focus on having fun, I'm not going to be as successful, I'm not working as hard, you know. Yeah, what does that bring up for you?
Well, I'll give you the cliche response, which is like, what is successful? What are we doing here? Where are we working so hard to get to? So that what? Someday in the future, when I'm CEO and I make $10 million, then what? Will you want to have fun? I could retire and play golf, right? Would be a very cliche thing to say. Retire and play golf. Well, what are you playing golf for? Because it's fun.
Right.
So you're telling me you have to spend the next 40 years of your life sacrificing all of that. That fun and playing golf is only available to you when you're 65 and you make $10 million. What is the point of all of this? You would prefer to suffer and be hard on yourself because you think it helps you with success, which I would assume you're meaning, you know, job title and money and stuff like that. What's the point of doing all of that, right? It's like
Right.
all these cliches. I just love a cliche because it's so true. But when you think about, the classic case of some guy working so hard and stays late at work and never spends time with his kids, and his kids are like 20, and then he's like, "Well, I just missed their whole childhood, and I have no relationship with them." It's like, hope it was worth it because now you have a lot of money, and you just missed the best part. Well, not maybe not the best part, but you just missed your this whole thing that you had with your kids. That's so sad. But good. You have $10 million. Congrats. You can't take that with you. And your kids don't care about that either. And it's like, I'm not saying give up your base needs. Like, yeah, you got to make your money, but to what extent? What do you really want? If you really want to be CEO and make $10 million, then like, great, that's your priority. Stop pretending you're a family guy. Stop pretending you'll prioritize it. Just let yourself crush that. You'll probably get there faster if you stop denying the truth of what you actually want.
Yep. I
And just
think
tell
that's
everyone that, and just tell your kids, like, I'm not gonna make time for you. I want to make $10 million and I want to be CEO, blah, 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 blah. Your kids might actually respect you instead of resenting you. And I don't know, but I think the truth will set you free, and owning the truth of what you want is beautiful. But a lot of people have a hard time really understanding what their actual truth is. And again, that's where the fun comes in. Because if you allow yourself to know what you really want, and you say, screw what everyone else says, screw what the world, oh, I'm supposed to be a family man. What if you want to be? What if you don't want to have kids at all and you want to climb the corporate ladder? If you're truly honest with yourself, go for it with freedom to change your mind, by the way, and allow yourself the freedom to just send it and not be
and
like everybody else.
and I also think it's like, why does it have to be one or the other? Because it's like, what if fun is what unlocks what to you is quote
Yeah,
unquote success?
I
Like we
think that
said,
is true. That's been my experience.
yeah, and I want to hear more about that. But it's the same thing with self-love. It's like you think being kind to yourself is going to hinder you achieving your goals or feeling more quote unquote productive or whatever. Actually, what's been proven through research is that the more self-love you give or the more compassion that you feel towards yourself, actually the faster you bounce back, the more resilient you are, the more you avoid burnout, the more compassion you have for other people, the better leader you can be. Like all of these things. But for some reason, we are like drinking some other Kool-Aid that tells us something different. And it's like
Right.
so counterintuitive to us to believe that that's possible.
Yeah.
And I think fun is very similar. So what have you seen in how embracing fun can change it all?
So this really hit home for me beginning of last year in 2025. It was January, and I'm like, doing the New Year thing and thinking about my work. And I'm like, I've been an entrepreneur for like 5 years, online business, six and a half since when I moved to be a personal trainer. And it's like, I've worked really hard. And I had plateaued that year compared to the year previously. And I'm like, it doesn't seem like working more is actually doing anything.
Mm.
And I do notice that when I have fun, like random, like, oh, I get a DM, someone's like, I want to work with you. I'm like, interesting. And then I forget about that and I work harder. And I was like, and I was sitting there and I was like, I had just gotten into tennis, got back into tennis for like the last 7 months. It's almost been 2 years now. I was like, man, like I just love tennis. Like this goes to your yes and. Both can be true. Like I love tennis. And then I would start to feel shame. I was like, if I could just play tennis all day, like I think that would be the best life. Which I know is not true, by the way, because I would have that same experience that I did shooting photos and being like, I want to help people. So it's both. But I was like, I would really love to play more tennis. Like that would be so awesome. And then I felt shame because I'm like, but I'm doing my life's work. I'm coaching people. I'm helping people. I'm like, well, maybe both can be true, but maybe instead of doing more and doing work when you're frustrated and getting out another email, one more piece of content, when you feel those feelings, like just put it down, walk away. And the strategy I'm going to use is when I feel that, I'm just going to leave and go play tennis. I'll just go to the club, rent a ball machine and like practice, or I'll go to the park and practice my serves. So I was like, so let's see if prioritizing fun will actually be the thing that grows my business. A week later, 1 week later, Lindsay, scheduled a match to play with this guy. I've seen him around the club. He's like in his 60s. He's like bopping around. He seems to know everybody. I was like, oh, he seems really good too. I was like, this is going to be a tough match. And like, I want to show up and play well, whatever. And so I get there. He's a few minutes late, but he comes bopping in with his smile. He's like, hey, Matt, like, sorry, I'm late. I'm Travis. I'm like, hey, I'm Matt. We're warming up. We do like mini tennis. So we're close to the net. We're close. We're chatting. What do you do? I'm like, I'm a content creator. I help people, create content and tell their stories, blah, blah. And he's like, cool. I got to talk to you about that. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, I own a cabinetry company, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, great. Like content for cabinetry. Like I like to work with coaches and, people doing a little more meaningful work than that. Whatever. So we warm up, we move to the back, we're hitting, the balls are in the net. We walk up to the net 5 minutes later after he says this. And I'm like, whatever. Like, this is not the client I was looking for. And he comes up to the net, comes close to me. He's like, listen, he's like, I want to build the best tennis community in the world here in Oregon. And I think we can use social media to do it. And I want your help. And I was like, okay, you want my help to make content about tennis and tennis community? And he's like, yeah. And long story short, we meet for a few times. He ends up being a client, $3,000 a month to make content. So I landed a client doing the thing I love about content about the thing that I love. And I was like, wait a second. It took 1 week for this to be real. And my problem is, as much as I believe this and try to practice this, is that I still don't even fully trust it. I still fall back in my own patterns of working more because of how I was raised. Like it's so ingrained. And my process is going back to what we were talking about before, like loving myself tremendously, loving the part of Matt who can't walk away from his computer and go for a walk because he just to send one more DM or whatever. It's loving that part of me at the end of the day when I'm like, dude, you didn't really prioritize fun. And it's a love that hardworking Matt who couldn't step away, not to shame him, not to be upset with him. Why can't you just do this? Just go have fun, dude. You see it work. None of that works. That's that future version that I'm projecting that's always going to be angry with me. Part of this process, I'm still working on making it a bigger priority for myself. And we're all at different levels, right? You might see my social media or whatever. You might see Matt has a lot of fun, but you don't see my whole life. And there's ways in which I can have more fun. And so yeah, that's kind of the process is like, that's what I want to help people with. And it's the yes and it's like, yes. And I get to work. Like I love these podcasts. I love my client calls. So it's not that I have the most fun playing tennis. I have the most fun playing tennis and I have the most fun on my calls, but I don't have fun when I am putting play on the back burner and trying to get more work done just so I can be quote unquote successful. So what? I can grow a business so I can play more tennis. Like I could just play more tennis now.
Yeah. Okay. One thing that like sparks in me is like the idea of what is fun for you? Because you're like, I have fun on my calls, but I also have fun playing tennis. And I think that that's like people, and I think about this for myself. Like if you were like, Lindsay, what do you do for fun? I think it'd be really hard for me to answer that question. And I think we need to redefine what fun means for us, because I think it's well, to be fun, it has to be something very playful or doesn't include work or doesn't. It's like, well, actually, no, I'm having a lot of fun. I have so much fun in building my podcast and having these conversations. And that's fun for me. I also have fun when I go and hang out with my fellow baristas at the coffee shop. I have fun when I'm working as a barista, which is why I did it, and talking to customers and making drinks. And so I wonder, is that something you do with your clients is like, how can people define what fun is for them or find the fun in what they're doing, that it isn't like, oh, you have to now create a whole different type of life or create more time for quote unquote fun.
Yeah, I mean, even sometimes what you're doing can be done differently to be more fun. Like specifically when I help you with content. Do you know how many ways there are to make content and how many different platforms there are for you to be on? You like writing? Like then stop trying to make videos on Instagram. Like build a Substack, go on Twitter, Threads, Facebook, LinkedIn. Like those are more written platforms. And you can grow there. And even what you write, you can write long ass stories. You can write in-depth research breakdowns. You can write poetry on Substack. Like the, there's literally infinite options and it all works. And what you're looking to do is figure out what works for me. And so first it is understanding, yes, what do I like? And oftentimes I just think like what piques your curiosity? Sometimes like what did you like as a kid? I used to dance as a kid. I really miss it. Sign up for a dance class. I don't have time for that. Oh, okay. Well then like what are you doing? You don't have time for a dance class? Like what are you then when will you? You know? Anyway, not getting into that, but it's like, yeah, sign up for the dance class. And then maybe it's not that maybe you don't like that dancing anymore. Maybe it's hip hop. Maybe you actually want to learn uh a two-step or whatever. You know, maybe you actually want to learn ballet at 40 years old. Like, I don't know. I've climbed this aerial dance on the bars and hangs from the ceiling. Like, there's so many ways to do dance, but it's not like I went to one dance class. This isn't it. It's like you're not even good at dance. You don't even know yet. You had this thing within you that said, I want to dance again.
Mm.
Give yourself some time to remember, like, true fun exists in a flow state, right? When you're like setting up a podcast and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I just made the cover letter and like I recorded the intro and blah, blah. And you're like, I didn't even realize an hour went by. You were having fun. If you get to a flow state, you're having fun. And so sometimes when we do something new, it's hard to get in that flow state. But if you really believe that you would love dancing, like you have to give yourself an opportunity to even get good at it. And you might not be good at it yet. And in the process of getting good at it, right, you love yourself through the journey. Because if you just started dancing again after 20 years of not dancing, yeah, you're not going to be as good as you remember being. It's going to take some time. So love yourself for getting back into it. And then it's just checking in with yourself. Like, do I like this? Is there another dance? I don't want to quit yet. So how can I make this process more light and fun? Oh, I noticed this is where like we get into the deeper inner work, but it's like I'm dancing and I can tell there's a part of me that is focused on everybody else. And I feel like everybody else is watching me. But we know if you're dancing or playing any sport or anything, like really anything, the more you're able to relax, the better you'll perform. So if you're noticing if you're noticing that you think everyone's staring at you, which is causing you to contract, you need to learn the process of like letting go of that, which is a deeper conversation and depends on the person, but working through that part who's worried about judgment from others and everybody staring at me. And I think that's the fun part of it. Where like I do this with tennis all the time. Where it's like I love tennis. And then when I play with my brother, he's way better than me. And he like really takes charge when we're playing doubles together. He like really takes charge on the court, which kind of like makes me timid. And he's my older brother. So I'm like baby brother. And I'm like, and I want to get in his way, which causes me to contract and not be loose. And then I don't go for balls and I'll miss one in the net and stuff. So I do this inner work. I won't get into this whole story because it's a longer story, but I do this whole inner work to be like, how do I relax when I'm playing with my brother?
Mm.
And it not shaming myself. Oh, just have fun. That doesn't work. It's actually seeing the part of me that can't have fun, that is contracted and is worried about upsetting my brother because I love him so much and I want him to love me. And it's actually building a relationship with that part and bringing it along on the tennis court. And I had a cool experience about 2 weeks ago, right before the baby came, where I was doing is like parts work, internal family systems. I don't know
Mhm.
if you're familiar with it. So like doing it on the court, and there's this Matt. I call him Bear Matt. He's super protective of my heart, and I was checking in with him while I was playing, and he was like, a little protective. But then slowly, as I built that relationship with him, Bear Matt, he started to loosen up, and all of a sudden, I like hit some great shots, and I checked in with him, and I could feel him like dancing and grooving on the court. I was like, oh, he's feeling better,
Yeah.
and that's how we really heal those parts and move through it. So I'm not sure if I answered your question correctly, but you have to allow yourself to just own the truth of what you want. Like, what is the thing that's piquing your curiosity? I wish I could dance again. Ooh, I want to get back into tennis. You know what? I've been working out, and I think I want to do a bodybuilding competition. Like, pick something. Here's what I believe. People say, enjoy the journey, and so they say do what you love, and then that they kind of leave it at that. That is not the best, most fun life. The most fun life is getting better at what you love. We
Mm.
love to improve, right? If you did this podcast for 5 years and only had 10 listeners for 5 years, you would be a little frustrated, right? If you meditated every day for 5 years and by the fifth day you couldn't sit still for more than a minute, you would be frustrated with your progress. We like to improve. It's innate in our biology. It's where dopamine comes from, which dopamine gets a bad rap because of social media, but dopamine is good. We actually get dopamine to encourage us to take risks because that's how we've survived and that's how we've evolved. There's all these like feel good chemicals that come from challenging yourself. Even flow state. Flow state exists in a nice balance. There's this, I think it's called the Dodson-Yerkes law. You can look it up, something like that. Google will correct you. And it's finding flow state, and it's this bell chart.
Mm-hmm.
Arousal level is on the x-axis. On the y-axis is peak performance or performance, and it's a bell chart. Peak performance exists in the middle. At the beginning, the arousal state, if it's too boring, you're bored and you're like not really engaged. If you're too far on the far end of arousal, you're anxious, which means you can't
Mm.
perform. But in the middle, right in between, being challenged a little bit, but also like being good and knowing what you're doing is peak performance. So we like to, like, you think of an Olympian, right? Like they know what they're doing. Also, they're sending it. They're trying to perform their absolute best. So there's a challenge. And then they end up, like, I think of like an Alyssa Liu, like figure skater, like incredible performance. She was in flow and that was peak performance. So yeah. So figure out what you want and go for it. Go try to get better at it.
Do you know what this is like occurring to me is I think back to the comment I said before on like fun being frivolous. And I was thinking about it in the way of like, I don't have time. There's more important things for me to be doing. But I think about that all also in a different way of thinking that fun is frivolous, thinking like fun is simple. Fun is just, it's fun. It's enjoyable. But what I'm hearing you talk about it is fun is what unlocks fun in the way we're talking about it, I guess, is what unlocks deep self understanding and unlocks that like deep personal growth that people are looking for, that often I think they go to very like serious means to get it, whether coaching or therapy, and all that is useful and helpful.
Mhm.
But it's also what I'm hearing is like by challenging yourself, by honoring your needs, honoring those deep desires, and giving yourself the chance to actually see them through and give yourself the chance to be in flow state or to improve and like see what you're capable of is so full of so much possibility. And part of that possibility is like building a new relationship with yourself and seeing yourself in a way that
Yeah.
maybe you never had before and give yourself the chance to see before.
But that's real fun.
Yeah.
Like, there's this fun of like, I can watch a movie with a friend. I could call that fun, but like, is that like really fun? Are you gonna remember that? Not
Right.
really. I think fun is yeah, when I play a great tennis match. Um, when I work on a piece of art, or a poem or a song, and I can play that really well, or even a piece of content if I am making one of my storytelling highly edited things, like that is really fun and rewarding to me. I think, yeah, people see fun as like easy. Fun has nothing to do with it being easy. It's kind of what I said
Yeah.
about the chart. True fun is actually like challenging yourself just that little bit. And yeah, and I think that's what, like, I'm sure your listeners too. But that's what we're all kind of looking for
Yeah.
is like we don't just want to sit here and live an easy life. It truly is boring.
People have kind of forgotten. I think people struggle to challenge themselves in the same way. Or like I feel like we're given such a recipe of things, easy, quick fixes. This is going to solve your problems. This is,
That's the world
you
now.
know, that's the world now.
Yeah,
But what I'm
unfortunately.
hearing is true fun and flow state and self-discovery and like reaching your potential comes from putting yourself in a place of challenge and struggle. And I
Yeah, it's
think
the
that
opposite of
muscle is
efficiency.
atrophying for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, we're all about efficiency with AI, all
Yeah.
this stuff. It's like I'm asking you to do the opposite of efficiency.
Yeah.
And you'll find that life is so rewarding in that way, where you're like, that's when you feel accomplished. And to me that is like that true, like it truly is fun. Yeah. Yeah. I think I've said enough on that.
Well, I
But I'm
think it
just so
also
adamant about it. Like, just go. Just like also like it doesn't have to be a big thing. It's like I talk about riding my bike across America. It's like as long as you just like ride my bike across America. Like, there's all these mini steps in between where I, like, research a bike and buy the bike, and then I'm training in New York City going up and over the Williamsburg Bridge. I load up my bags with Stephen King books to weigh it down to try and, like, get the workout in. Like, there's all these little pieces, but that bold action that makes it really fun is, like, is that one day where I loaded up all the Stephen King books and rode up the West Side Highway across the GW and back over. You know, like that, and we just get back to the journey. Like that's what was truly fun, and it's because I chose. Like I think that has to be a big part of it is like that I chose this.
Mm.
Because if you're forced to do something, it's never going to be fun. You're never going to get there, and that goes back to like, what do you really want? Because if you're kind of putting this expectation, even for me, about the storytelling books. And then people are like, "What storytelling books have you read?" I'm like, "None." I've read a few since, but there's this book back here, A Hero with a Thousand Faces. It's
Mhm.
Joseph Campbell's like most popular book. He's the guy who invented the hero's journey, that
Oh,
classic hero's journey that you
yep.
see with the wheel and all that. So I was like, "Well, I should read this." And it's really dense, and he writes like he's from 1850, and it's brutal. And I'm like 20 pages in, I'm like, "Why am I doing this? Like, this is not fun. I don't have to do this. Oh, I'm the storytelling guy. I should read this book." No, I don't. I don't need to read this at all. Like, why would I suffer through this? But there's these expectations put on me from myself, really, but from society of like, yeah, I should devour all these storytelling books. I just don't. I don't have to do that.
No. And I think that's so it feels like a couple of the key takeaways I'm taking from this is like fun is the gateway to honoring yourself, like truly yourself versus what you might should on yourself about or might judge yourself about or the fear or judgment of others. But also like bringing it back to like where you started with your story is like listening to that peak of curiosity, that little quiet voice telling you what you want and actually hearing it and doing something about it is what creates the life that you were craving back when you were, just in finance, sitting in that chair in New York, being like, I want to live a life where I have stories to tell, like worth talking about when I'm 60 years old to my grandkids or,
Yeah,
nephew. And that's what's going to create a life that you not only love living, but one that's interesting and gives you something to talk about. It's like life, you can't, like,
yeah,
life doesn't just happen to you. You actually have to create it.
totally. Yeah. And I would cap it off with, this is how you change the world.
Mm. Tell me more about that.
So the people I work with want to make the world a better place. You can't do that if you are suffering. You would only be putting more suffering in the world. And when you prioritize fun, imagine just like that real fun we're talking about, where you're like in flow state and everything's like incredible. Not the fake fun, just watching a movie on the couch, like that real true fun. When you're in that state and you're in flow state, you are vibrating up here. You are love, you are joy, you are not thinking about the past, you are not worried about the future, you are truly present. And if you can learn how to live in that place, then nothing down here, fear and anxiety, can pull you back down. It's not possible to live up here all the time, but that would be a sick goal to just be like 100% fun, vibrating love and joy nonstop. And if you were doing that, and if you know anything about the universe that is all information and energy, and that's what's really going on here, that you will pull everything else up with you. Everybody
Yeah.
you contact in the real world, every time you're on a podcast, I tell my clients, I'm like, your content holds the truth of your energy. That's what people feel. That's why when you steal a hook and it doesn't work for you, why? Because you stole a hook and you're like, this better fucking work. And it doesn't work for you because people can feel that.
Yeah.
And now, especially again, I do a lot of work with the content, but you scroll through social media and it's like there are no people aren't even using good hooks. There's just like all sorts of stuff that go and it's not about going viral, but that's what you see in your feed a lot is like the really viral stuff is on your feed and what makes it go viral. It's like, well, it's not hooks because you can scroll through and be like, where was the hook here? No, it's just like some dude on a street like doing something. Anyway, because it's energy, right? It's like and I wanna go into whole, like, yes, there's bad stuff out there too that gets a lot of views, whatever. But for my people, when you learn to prioritize fun and start having fun and you start vibrating up here, at the end of the day, you're attracting all of that with you. And people who wanna do good work, instead of suffering and trying to think of like, I'm supposed to write this email sequence, and here's how everyone says to do a welcome sequence. And, it feels so terrible. Dude, that's a made up rule. Write an email sequence however you want. And I bet if you do it from love and joy and you have fun doing it, that email sequence will work perfectly the way you want to. And so that's where it floods into the work. Or when you are vibrating with love and joy because you're prioritizing fun, that then when you show up for your work, you take that energy right with you. And then everything you do is infused with that energy. And everybody can feel that. Right. And ultimately that's like, I think, I think the key, especially like if you're a leader or a coach, like, this curiosity is one of your main C's. You mostly don't have to tell people what to do. They already know what they need to do. And then you just ask them a bunch of questions and they go, oh yeah, okay. Like, I just had a call with a girl yesterday, and she wanted all this advice because she's 24, she's a software engineer, blah, all this stuff, and she comes on, I asked her a million questions, and I gave her, and then I give her a tip, and she's like, "Well, I think I'm gonna do this." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right, do that." And then she'd be like, "Well, okay, I think this." I'm like, "Cool." I'm like, "What are we doing on this call?" I'm like, do you want me to just say yes? Like, you are right. You know exactly what to do. You just need to go do it." So anyway, as leaders, as coaches, if we could be in a state where we're regulated and enjoy and love, then we don't feel like we have to project and have to sound so smart to people. We just sit here in curiosity, and love. And then we give people the capacity and the space to feel safe enough to say what they truly want to say.
Yep.
And then you go, uh-huh, correct. And they go, okay, all right, thanks. So I feel better now. You're like, cool, I didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything. hmm And so if you had to give one wish for people listening, um, and one step that they would take to honor what they want, to embrace what fun is for them, what would it be?
Well, my wish is that you would just listen to the voice and to do what you know what you like. You're listening to this right now and you're going, I know this thing. You're doing it right now. And then your stomach starts to rumble a little bit and you get butterflies. And you're like, and now Matt's saying this and now he's giving us one piece of advice, which you know is just going to be to just go do that thing. And you're freaking out a little bit right now. And I just want you to take a deep breath and smile and love yourself
Mm.
because man, it gets to be fun. It really does. And it doesn't have to change your life. It doesn't have to mean anything. All it means is that I just prefer this. And so I'm just gonna do a little more. It's like when the bike ride across America changed my life. And the big reason it changed my life is because I wasn't doing it because at the end I was gonna be guy who rode his bike across America. And then that would get me recognition or something. No, no, no. I told you, I just loved riding my bike. It made me feel like a kid again. So I was like, why don't I just do is there a way I could do that every day? Yeah, I'll run my bike across America. Then I could do it every day for 90 days. That's the only reason why I did it. And I was so present. I was so in love with life. And then it just so happened to change my life and put me on this crazy trajectory of like where I'm at now. But it wasn't the intention. The intention was I love riding my bike. Can I do more of that? Yes, I've saved money. Yes, my job is willing to let me take the summer off and come back. Things worked out. I'm grateful for that. And so I had the opportunity to do it. And so whatever that is for you, it's like you don't have to make it more than it is. Just take these little steps, take the dance class, go to the run club, ask the girl out, whatever they say, all those inspirational things, burn the candle, pick up the guitar, just do it and take it one day at a time and love yourself along the way.
And, to share, like, I just from like my own experience, like that's what it was for me when saying yes to the coffee shop. Like there was just that little voice that was like, I really want to know what it's like to work at a coffee shop. I want to know what it's like to make a really good cappuccino. I want to know what it's like to be a barista. I just had this for so
So
long.
good.
And
Yeah.
it would have been so easy to ignore. And I waited until I was here and I had like a reason. Oh, I don't know. I had to give myself almost a reason. I don't know anyone here. It'll be a good way to build community.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but that was kind of my way in just to honor that give myself permission to do something that I feel like I wouldn't have before. I also, of course, had the capacity and the flexibility with
Yeah.
now have my own business. But that was the best possible thing I could have done for myself in so many ways. And now I'm having that again. Matt, you'll appreciate this because I'm sitting here as you're talking. I'm like, what is it that I want that I'm not listening to? What is it that I want to start? And for me, it's actually around like writing again. I've been doing a lot of listening of things around grief in the last like just a couple years. It's like so fascinating to me. And as I've been processing my own grief of my dad who passed away like 16 and a half years ago. And long story short, having a daughter has made me think, of course, a lot about that my dad's not here and wanting to be connected to him. But I've never been somebody in grief who's like, I'm like, oh, I feel so connected to my dad. I'm reaching out to him. Like I've never really done
Yeah.
that, probably because for many reasons of keeping myself quote unquote safer. But I've been having this like desire to write him letters just to like
Yeah.
talk to him and like through writing. And I haven't been writing in such a long time in the last year or so. So anyways, that's like what I'm feeling inside that I've been wanting to do that I haven't been. What kind of fun that is, I don't know. But I want to thank you for kind of holding up the mirror and challenging me to think about that and how to get started.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And there's like I want people to become like soul creators, which is what I hear you're saying. It's like How does that help my business? Like, who cares? Your soul has something that it needs from you. It's in here and it needs to be out here. And if that's writing these letters and no one ever sees them, you actually have no idea that that actually might be something that now you have expressed yourself and you feel a little bit lighter. That now you show up with your daughter and you're kinder to her when she's crying or whatever. And that might help the way she evolves and grows up in your relationship. It could be like I always say this. This is my example because like I'd get comments on social media and it's like privilege. I can't do that. I'm like, if you have 3 jobs and you have 3 kids, it's always a thing. I multiple jobs, I have kids, I can't do what you did. I'm like, I'm not asking you to do what I did. I'm saying, do you think it would be fun, for example, to go home after your long shift, spend 20 minutes with your kids and build a fort out of all the pillows and blankets you have in the house? It doesn't cost you any money. I know you're busy, you're trying to make money with your 3 jobs. It doesn't cost you any money. Would it be really fun to build a fort with your kids? Just spend 20 minutes to do that. Yes. How do you know then that that isn't so fun and you are giggling with your kids and you feel so connected to them that then you wake up and you go to your job, early shift at McDonald's, whatever, but because you are so full of love that the way you handle customer interactions and conflicts is just so easeful. And then the manager there is like, really love the way you handle that. Have you ever thought about becoming assistant manager? It's pay increase, blah, 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 whatever. Like, I'm obviously making this up, but you don't know that all of this is connected.
Yeah.
And you don't know the thing that you're drawn to is the thing that is going to just ripple outwards. And so for you, it's like, I think sometimes we get into this like, oh, well, what does that do for my business? Should I post this? Should I make a Substack out of this? Maybe if you want, but maybe you just sit and light a candle and write these notes to your dad. Let him know, I'm going to start crying, how much you miss him and how much you wish he was here to see your daughter and whatever, and like all of that. And just to write to him and just to
Yeah.
have that for yourself. And you just don't know the ripple effect that could have when you allow yourself to express the way you need to. And it doesn't have to be for anyone else.
And I think what I'm hearing in all of that, and it's a beautiful way to wrap this up, is like that goes back to what I work on with my clients is like believing and choosing the possibility of honoring yourself and giving yourself what you truly need and want and trusting that's the best possible thing you can do for yourself and trusting in that possibility versus, the fear that it's not worth it or the pressure that you have to do something with it. It's like, no, honoring yourself, honoring your wants, giving yourself that time to pursue something that a whisper is telling you that you need is worth it. And you don't have to see how yet. You just have to trust yourself that you need this and
Hmm.
say yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. This has
Thank
been such a beautiful conversation, and I have been now I'm thinking about fun in a way that I honestly didn't. Not even before we like even coming to this conversation, I didn't think about fun in this way. And
you.
I last weekend wrote a list of things for my husband and I needing to do, and it literally was responsible, like things I need to do that like have to get done, and then it was like fun things, and the fun list was so much shorter than the responsible. But now I'm going to start thinking about that.
I would
Oh,
even
I can't
challenge
wait.
you for the responsible stuff. Like, could it be more fun? Can you
Exactly.
blast your favorite music? Like, I'm loving Olivia Dean right now. Like, just put Olivia Dean on and you got a vacuum, like just dance while you're vacuuming and like, could you add a little fun to it?
That's a challenge for all of us, right?
Yeah.
How do we add more fun to everything that we are doing, but also quiet down to listen to like what is that fun that we're craving that we're denying ourselves
Mhm.
and pursue it.
Mhm.
Thanks so much, Matt, for your time and your wisdom and your brilliance and your stories and your enthusiasm. We are so grateful and lucky to have you here today. And thanks everyone for listening and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.